there comes a time when silence is betrayal.
Anytime we become silent about things that matter, then that looks like the day that we begin to lose our sense of value of our lives.
You're betraying yourself and you're betraying the people who can't speak out.
The least you could do this day and age is record it and document it somehow.
You may be quiet and it may help you later, but nowadays your voice is the most powerful thing you can have.
If you choose to ignore it, you also choose to accept it.
To me, injustice is anything that is meant to demean or belittle someone else, or anything that violates someone else's rights. I feel it's my duty as just a person to intervene. If someone is yelling racial slurs or anything like that, just letting them know that what they're doing is not okay, but also coming from the position of love so that, whatever the act is can be corrected, but it can also be like a learning lesson for everyone involved.
Injustice to me looks like when somebody infringes upon another person's free will, whether that be by using their power, extorting them, or just being unfair in the way they treat others. I would say there's been a lot of times I've witnessed or experienced injustice just when there's groups of people involved and you see clear exclusion or just mistreatment of one person because of maybe how they looked, how they act. And I think it's something that comes up a lot to this day in our society.
Injustice to me is someone not giving you an opportunity. They don't even give you an opportunity right at the door. They're like, nah, sorry, you don't have the job. That's wrong. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know their work ethic. You don't know how intelligent they are.
Injustice to me doesn't really look like anything. It's more of a gut feeling, an understanding that we know that this isn't right, it's unfair, and it's unjust. A feeling of injustice I remember having was when I watched this video on Instagram of a young African-American male being chased down by the police who was in fact unarmed and about to surrender himself. And as he started walking with his hands up, he was shot at least 12 times and was left paralyzed, and that hurt a lot. It kind of shook me to my core.
So injustice really boils down to someone being treated unfairly, someone who's an equal being treated unequally. When I see injustice, I definitely try to stand up and defend those people who are being treated unequally. It's not fair. There was this couple holding hands, and it was two men, and I remember someone older saying, that's disgusting, and I said, hey, that's not disgusting at all. They love one another. How is that disgusting?
Injustice to me looks like when someone of power kind of controls people who don't have a voice or say in something, so they're kind of helpless to that situation, so they're an easy target to be controlled.
To me, injustice is when a person with power treats others who don't really have as much power unfairly. I think it's not cool, and it's not fair to anyone, and no one should be treated unfairly.
I feel like in the school environment, when you're seeing something injustice or unfair, for example, you should take action. And also, we should all sit down and talk about these things. I think these type of conversations make some people uncomfortable, and we have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable conversations.
To me, administration has to come to the lower level. One of the things that I do appreciate President Florentino doing is, coming down to that lower level and, visiting people, coming to the Saxby's Thanksgiving event, things like that, being a part of something that's out of his ordinary everyday life. But I think other faculty and administration should try to do the same thing. And I think they should have authentic conversations. If you sit down with the person and you listen to them and you hear them out on what they have to say, that empathetic feeling will come, and you 9 times out of 10 want to do something about it.
We know that some people have power over others and that they do abuse their power, but at school, no one acknowledges it. No one's gonna be oh yeah, this person's abusing their power, because a lot of teachers do and a lot of students do, and administrators do, presidents do, everybody does. So I think the first step towards fixing injustice is realizing that it is a real thing and that it needs to be talked about. For
administration and principals, I feel like they need to like stand up for their kids because they seem to put these sort of situations aside. You may know what's going on at home, you may have heard of it, but you're not doing anything about it. And when there's a student that's making fun of them, treating them unfairly, they don't do anything about it. They may talk to them, they have a sit down, but they don't put their words or what they say they're going to do into action. So now kids don't know who they need to go to, who they're able to look up to, and who to trust.
They need to stop ignoring it. They need to call out the situation, not the student, not what was said, but the situation that you can't say it. At my school, we do this thing called a courageous conversation, where we talk about uncomfortable topics like kneeling at the pledge, how that made people feel, racism in America, racism in the school, what goes on. And people who feel uncomfortable about it, they often have a really good opinion and they just don't want to say it because they're uncomfortable. But these conversations force you to speak your mind, and it forces other people to respect how you feel on certain topics.
The youth are and have always been the source of hope for every society. So if you're lucky enough to work with them, just dive in and show them that you're there, that you care about what they're going through, what they're thinking about, find out what they're thinking about. It's kind of your responsibility to actually help them in whatever capacity you can, or else you're just kind of telling them that you don't care.
Normally, I speak up to it because I'm of the view that anything that befalls somebody else can befall you the next time around if you decide to be silent. Many people who may have gone through the same problem tomorrow will be saved because I've been able to speak up to it today.
I will be an ally to people who experience injustice. I will stay educated on what injustice is and what that means for many other people, because not everyone experiences the same injustices.
I'm going to let them know to use their voice, and I'm going to use my voice too. And I'm not going to do what I did in the past and just silence myself, because I'm better than that and we're all better than that. When you're being silent, you're not getting anywhere and it's not helping you, and it's just going to make it worse because they're not going to learn their lesson from you just sitting there and taking it. You got to speak out and let them know that they can't talk to you like that and they can't disrespect you because of a belief or culture or your race.
Now I would speak up and just encourage them and tell them that what they have to say is important and it should be heard. Even if it's just heard by one person, it's still important, because even if it's that one person, it's still going to make a change for them.
When I see it, I know I have the voice and I know I need to speak out. If you see injustice and you choose to do nothing about it, you're silencing it, so it allows someone to keep on doing what they're doing, because in their mind they think that what they're doing is right, what they're doing is correct. But when you speak out, you correct them.
Silence is ignorance, and thinking that, oh, that will never happen in Westchester, that won't happen to me, is the wrong way of thinking about injustice and racism and any other problem.
It's not just enough to say that we don't see color, we don't see disability, or we don't see age. It's more that we have to respect one another's differences and be aware of that and be culturally competent that someone's different than us and be able to move past that and make those connections.
If you're able to start it small, in our own small way, by treating others around us fairly, by making sure that we don't violate the rights of others that we interact with, I believe that it will go a long way to solve injustice in the world. Because if I do the same, and my other friend is able to do the same, and somebody else is able to do the same, collectively, we will be able to fight injustice. And I believe that it's a collective fight.